right.
Waiting for pairing. Head.
Just change the oil. I'll get some new light bulbs for the kitchen, the living room. Not burning any. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I am burning oil again. Changed out my PCV valve. Which made me not have oil in my car. Hopefully that's not going to be a problem. Car's almost 20 years old, but it's paid for. Paid for is good. You're welcome to afford whatever car you want to try to afford, but I've been affording this car for about 10 years now. So what to say? Winter's coming. I know people keep talking about global warming, global climate change, whatever. Depending upon whether or not we have a cold summer or hot summer, seems like it's changing the word they use to describe it, whatever it is they think is there. But climate change is not a fact. A fact is defined by proof of its existence, and there is no proof. As a matter of fact, it's not even a theory. Because in order to have a theory, you have to have something that supports it. But what it is a hypothesis. And a hypothesis is something that, it's a speculation that something is true. Well, that's pretty weak. Hypothesis isn't even, it's like on the edge of science. The climate has changed many times over the millennia. Sometimes it's hot for a while, sometimes it's cold for a while. There was times in the past on this planet where we had something like dragonflies that had 6-foot wingspans. I imagine the climate changed in order to accommodate that. The climate changed again to force the evolution to a much smaller animal. But for me, it could be true. While I have my doubts, I've read things that say consensus of climate change, or something about there's a consensus among scientists. Well, there's not really. There's a consensus of scientists that will lose their jobs if they don't affirm climate change as truth. There's a consensus there. But the consensus was based on something like a survey of 3,000 scientists. And out of those 3,000 scientists that returned the survey, it was something like, let's call it less than 100 scientists that believed climate change was a real thing, and that it was going to be great. I don't know, we're going to die in 12 years. We've been saying that for how many years now? I don't know. This stuff has been going on since the 70s, is my understanding. But out of a survey of 3,000, where you have, let's say, 150 scientists even that respond to it, say that climate change is a real thing, I think the number was actually like 78 or 87 or something like that, that affirmed climate change as a real thing. That's not consensus. As a matter of fact, you can't even get elected to public office with numbers like that. It's less than 3%. I mean, so I don't really worry about it a whole lot. If I had a magic wand and I could change our major fuel to electric as opposed to fossil fuels, sure, let's do it. Why not? I mean, we're impacting the world less than you would if it's electric. I mean, that's debatable too, because a lot of the electric power is generated by fossil fuels. I've seen the argument made that more carbon dioxide is created generating electricity than it is if you were to just use use the fossil fuels themselves and burn it. I mean, you have to transport the electricity across power lines. And there's a resistance in the power lines that give off or that bleed off the electricity through heat. But I like solar. So, yeah, don't worry about it. They're trying to scare the hell out of these kids, telling them they got no future. Well, they did the same thing in the early 80s. Oh, jump underneath the 60s. Jump underneath your school desk because the Russians are we're all gonna get nuked. End of the world. It's always the end of the world. People have been saying it's the end of the world since the beginning of time. This is Jesus is coming back. Jesus is always coming back. Jesus is always coming next week. You know, he's gonna kill all the bad people. Well, yeah, I haven't seen him, but Jesus may well be coming back. And while we may be spiritual beings, we're stuck in a meat sack. We inhabit a meat sack right now. So you have to live your life in such a way that you can continue on in your meat sack. Propagate yourself as you're driven, as your humanity drives you. So how about that for now?